Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
You know what's smart? Enjoying a fresh gourmet meal at home that you didn't have to cook. Meet Factor, your loophole in the laws of mealtime. Chef-crafted meals delivered with a tap, ready in just 2 minutes. You know what's even smarter? Treating yourself without cheating your goals. Factor is dietitian approved, chef prepared, and you plated. Pretty smart, huh? Refresh your routine and eat smart with Factor. Learn more at factormeals.com.
The Tudors Dynasty Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Tudors Dynasty Podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Larson. Mary and Anne Stuart, sisters and daughters of James II, were central figures in England's turbulent 17th century. Raised as Protestants, despite their Catholic heritage, their lives were shaped by political and personal challenges. Mary, married to William of Orange, played a key role in the Glorious Revolution, while Anne faced tragedy and complex family dynamics. Their lives and reigns would ultimately influence the future of the British monarchy. Anne and her elder sister Mary were the only surviving children of James, Duke of York, and Anne Hyde. Born into a turbulent time of religious and political upheaval, their futures were heavily influenced by their uncle, King Charles II, who insisted that they be raised as Protestants, despite their parents' Catholic faith. Under the watchful eyes of Anglican bishops, Mary and Anne were carefully educated to ensure their devotion to the Church of England. Although they were directly in line to the throne due to Charles II's lack of legitimate heirs, Mary and Anne received only a limited education, one deemed suitable for high-born women of their era. Their lessons focused on literacy, basic arithmetic, religion, embroidery, music, and dancing, skills designed to prepare them for courtly life, not for ruling. Their early years were marked by both privilege and sorrow. In 1671, when Mary was 9 and Anne was 6, their mother died of breast cancer at just 34. Following this loss, their father remarried Mary Beatrice of Modena, a 14-year-old Catholic princess. The death of their mother had a profound impact on both sisters, and they were sent to live at Richmond Palace, where they were cared for by their governess, Lady Frances Villiers. Anne, who spent part of her childhood in France, receiving treatment for an eye condition, became fluent in French, a skill that would prove invaluable in her later diplomatic affairs. Despite their limited education, both sisters would go on to play pivotal roles in the shaping of the future of the English monarchy. In November 1677, at just 15, Mary was married to her Dutch cousin, William, Prince of Orange. Leaving behind the splendor of the English court, she sailed to the Netherlands to begin her new life as his wife and consort. Soon after their marriage, rumors began to circulate that William had taken one of Mary's ladies-in-waiting, Elizabeth Villiers, as his mistress. The revelation was particularly painful, as Elizabeth was the daughter of Lady Frances Villiers, the governess who had raised Mary. The Villiers family had deep ties to the court. Elizabeth's cousin, Barbara Villiers, had been a notorious mistress of Charles II, while her uncle, George Villiers, Duke of Buckingham, had been a close favorite, and possibly more, of James I and VI. Despite the whispers of betrayal, Mary did not confront William for many years. Instead of focusing on personal jealousy, Her greatest concern was his spiritual well-being. Meanwhile, William was known for his close relationships with certain male courtiers, lavishing them with gifts and influence. Some contemporaries and later historians speculated that these connections may have gone beyond mere favoritism, adding another layer of intrigue to their already complex marriage. In 1683, Anne married Prince George of Denmark, the younger son of King Frederick III. The couple settled in London, residing in a suite of rooms near Whitehall Palace. Their marriage was reportedly affectionate and, for the most part, a happy one. In 1685, the death of their uncle Charles II placed their father on the throne as King James II. However, his openly pro-Catholic policies soon plunged the kingdom into a political crisis. Tensions escalated in June 1688 when James's second wife gave birth to a son, a Catholic heir who threatened to secure a lasting Catholic dynasty. Fearing the shift, Protestant leaders turned to Mary's husband, William of Orange, inviting him to intervene. As tensions mounted between their father, King James II, and Mary's husband, William, over James's increasingly pro-Catholic stance, Mary found herself caught between duty and devotion. Though Mary was James's daughter, her loyalty to the Protestant faith and her husband left her with little choice. She firmly sided with William. When he set sail for England in November 1688 to challenge James's rule, Mary gave her full support, even if it meant opposing her own father. By December, James had fled the country, his power crumbling before William's advance. 2 months later, Mary arrived in London, stepping into a kingdom in turmoil. Some, including the influential Earl of Danby, urged her to claim the throne for herself and rule alone. But Mary refused to push her husband aside, insisting they govern together. On April 11, 1689, she and William were crowned joint sovereigns of England, Scotland, and Ireland, an unprecedented arrangement in the history of the monarchy. William was crowned in the ancient coronation chair, and a new chair had to be specially made for Mary's use, which is now part of the Abbey collection. As Mary ascended to the throne of England, Anne's greatest heartbreak came in 1687, when her two young daughters, Mary and Anne Sophia, succumbed to smallpox within a week of each other. Her only surviving child, Prince William, Duke of Gloucester, born in 1689, suffered from hydrocephalus. His death at the age of 11 in 1700 left Anne without an heir, throwing the future of the monarchy into uncertainty. In response, Parliament passed the 1701 Act of Settlement, ensuring the throne would pass to her father's Protestant cousin, Sophia of Hanover, and her descendants, shaping the course of British history for generations to come. Despite their shared Protestant cause, Anne's relationship with William and Mary during their reign was often fraught with tension. She resented what she saw as a lack of respect and felt that she was not granted the income or status befitting her position as heir presumptive. The sisters, once close, drew distant, particularly as Mary disapproved of Anne's reliance on Sarah Churchill, the Duchess of Marlborough, whose influence over Anne was both political and deeply personal. This rift only widened over time, leaving Anne increasingly isolated at court and setting the stage for the power struggles that would define her own reign. Though William was the dominant ruler, Mary was far from a passive queen. While her husband led military campaigns in Ireland and across Europe, she took charge of the government in his absence, ruling in her own name, but always deferring to his judgment. When he returned to England, she willingly stepped back from politics, content to let him lead. Yet one area remained firmly within her influence: ecclesiastical appointments. A devout Protestant, Mary took an active role in shaping the religious landscape of her kingdom, ensuring that the Church of England remained at the heart of national life. Anne was introduced to Sarah Churchill at the age of 5, and despite the 5-year age difference, Sarah quickly became Anne's closest confidant. Over the years, their bond grew, and Sarah remained a constant presence in Anne's life. Their relationship, however, was complex and has long been the subject of speculation. Some historians suggest a deep emotional connection, with some even positing a more intimate nature. Scandalous memoirs published by Sarah after Anne's death revealed the intimate aspects of their friendship, sparking rumors of romantic involvement. This connection, rooted in both affection and political alliance, would play a significant role during Anne's reign, as Sarah's influence on the Queen shifted with the changing political landscape. Meanwhile, despite her popularity, Mary was never free from the sorrow of her estrangement from her husband. His exile cast a shadow over her reign, a wound that never fully healed. Tragedy struck in December 1694 when Mary succumbed to smallpox at just 32 years old, leaving William to rule alone. Anne endured 18 pregnancies between 1683 and 1700. She saw only 5 of her children born alive, and only one, her son, Prince William, Duke of Gloucester, survived infancy. His death in 1700 was a devastating personal loss and a political crisis, as it left Anne without an heir. With no direct Protestant successor, she reluctantly accepted the 1701 Act of Settlement, which secured the throne for the Hanoverian descendants of King James I through his daughter Elizabeth, ensuring a Protestant line of succession. When Anne ascended the throne in 1702, following the death of William III, she did so as a queen without heirs. Yet she embraced the role of maternal figure to her subjects, fostering an image of stability and devotion. Though constrained by the Bill of Rights, she remained an influential ruler, carefully navigating the shifting tides of party politics. Initially favoring the Whigs, she later aligned with the Tories as factional rivalries deepened. Anne holds the distinction of being the last British monarch to withhold royal assent to a parliamentary bill, rejecting the Scottish Militia Bill in 1708 out of fear that an armed Scottish force could aid a French-backed attempt to restore her Catholic half-brother to the throne. Anne oversaw one of the most significant political transformations in British history: the 1707 Act of Union, which formally united England and Scotland into a single kingdom, Great Britain. Though the two nations had shared a monarch since 1603, fears that Scotland might reject the Hanoverian succession and rally behind Anne's Catholic half-brother drove efforts to secure a lasting union. As a result, Anne became both the last Queen of England and Scotland, and the first sovereign of Great Britain. However, the Act of Union was deeply contentious at the time and remains a subject of debate in Scotland to this day. From the beginning of her reign, Anne was driven by an unwavering devotion to the Anglican Church. She detested both Roman Catholics and Protestant dissenters, aligning herself with the High Church of Tories, while striving to maintain independence from partisan control. Her first ministry, though dominated by Tories, was led by 2 politically neutral figures, Sidney Godolphin and the Duke of Marlborough. While Marlborough remained a formidable military leader, Anne's once close friendship with his wife, Sarah Churchill, began to sour after 1703. Anne soon found herself at odds with the Tories over England's role in the War of the Spanish Succession. She and Marlborough, supported by the Whigs, believed in committing English troops to the large-scale campaigns in Europe, while the Tories advocated for a naval-focused strategy. As Marlborough's victories on the continent mounted, pressure grew on Anne to bring more Whigs into government. Though she resisted, her cooling relationship with the Duchess of Marlborough only deepened the political divide. By 1707, Sarah had been replaced in Anne's affections by Abigail Masham, a cousin of the Duchess and confidant, aligned with the influential Tory politician Robert Harley. However, Harley's behind-the-scenes machinations caused such political upheaval that Anne was forced to dismiss him in 1708 and concede to a Whig-dominated administration. As the war dragged on and public sentiment shifted, Anne seized the opportunity to reassert her authority. By 1710, she expelled the Whigs from power and restored a Tory government. A year later, she dismissed both Marlboroughs entirely, severing ties with one of the most influential couples of their reign. In 1713, Britain secured a significant advantage in the transatlantic slave trade with the Asiento de Negros Agreement, which granted Britain a monopoly on supplying African slaves to Spain's colonies. This deal allowed Britain to supply 4,800 slaves annually for 30 years, and the contract was assigned to the South Sea Company, in which Queen Anne held a substantial 22.5% stake. As Anne's health declined with advancing age and infirmity, the question of succession became increasingly urgent. Throughout this time, leading Tories were in secret communication with Anne's exiled Catholic half-brother, James, the Old Pretender, who remained barred by law from the throne. However, Anne's sudden and unexpected death thwarted any Tory attempts to restore James to power. Her final act as queen was to ensure the Protestant succession by entrusting the Lord Treasurer's staff to the capable and moderate Charles Talbot, Duke of Shrewsbury. This ensured a smooth and peaceful transition, paving the way for the ascension of the Hanoverian prince George Louis, who became King George I in 1714. Throughout Anne's life, she suffered from ill health. In the final years of her life, Anne's health rapidly declined, with gout leaving her unable to walk and causing intense suffering. On the morning of the 30th of July, 1714, she fell seriously ill, and by 7:30 a.m. on the 1st of August, Anne passed away at Kensington Palace. Her body, swollen with dropsy, had to be placed in an unusually large, square-shaped coffin. On the 24th of August, she was laid to rest in the Henry VII Chapel of Westminster Abbey, beside her husband and children, in the royal vault, marking the end of the troubled reign and the beginning of the Hanoverian dynasty with the ascension of George I. The lives of Mary and Anne Stuart were marked by personal loss, political intrigue, and profound change. As sisters who navigated the shifting tides of English monarchy, their struggles and triumphs shaped the course of history. Mary's reign, though brief, helped solidify Protestant rule, while Anne's reign brought significant political transformation, including the Act of Union. Together, their legacies laid the foundation for the future of Britain, ensuring the continuation of a Protestant dynasty and influencing the monarchy for generations to come. And that concludes another episode of the Tudors Dynasty podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you love the show and would like to show your support, consider becoming a patron over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Tudors Dynasty. Over there, you'll get commercial-free episodes, early access, and some patron-exclusive content as well. If you would prefer to show your support in another way, head on over to my website, tudorsdynasty.com, and click on the shop to see some of the new merchandise that I have available. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.
The Tudors Dynasty Podcast.